Hello everyone and welcome to the video today, and we're going to be talking about the very interesting concept, is dying bad in Pokemon UNITE? Now, of course, to me it just sounds like a no-brainer, but I'm sure many of you have been in situations where you think, oh, you know what, it's not too bad to die here. And you know, it's true. Sometimes dying isn't as bad as it sounds. But I'm going to go over some of the key concepts and topics about dying. Now, because I believe in upfronting the knowledge, I'm going to give you a brief outline of what this video is going to be about. So we're going to first explain why dying is primarily bad. Then we're going to go into when dying is okay. And then we're going to go into the overarching topic of dying in Pokemon UNITE, what it usually means later down the road in the game, or, you know, just in general for like habits. So, okay, if you like that, be sure to, you know, keep seated, get a drink, get comfy, and we're going to enjoy the video. And if you don't, that's okay. Remember, leave a like, comment, and sub, and tell me, you know, in this case, what would you like to see instead? And of course, okay, I hope I'm only here with those of you who want to watch this video, and let's get started. So dying, okay, I've got the map out, my favorite, and we're going to go and explain a little bit about, you know, how it happens and why we sometimes can think it's good. So dying, how does it happen, right? Okay, let's just say I'm a Delphox, I just hit level 5, I walk to the top lane, I fight for the bees, and I get blown up by some random spell that comes my way. Let's just say, in this case, it's a Chandelure who's level 5 sitting in this bush, and he just throws Fireball, and boom, half my health is gone, I try to run away, they chase me down, kill me, okay, I'm dead, and I come back to here, right? I guess it's important to watch here. So, is this bad or good? This is a bad death. You should not die the first piece. It's just really, really terrible. And I'm going to explain why, in general, it's, I guess, like a negative thing. A lot of people think, oh, I get 1v. What's going to happen now is, okay, you need to go to your jungle camps, and if the enemy is smart, they can invade. Whether it's with the support or whether it's the jungler. And now you're going to be contested for your clear. I like to call it a triangle now, I guess. I don't know. And let me know what you would name that. And the enemy's triangle now is completely free. So maybe the bot laner leaves and starts taking it. Meanwhile, you need to fight off a attacker that's invading and maybe a support. And if they get out for free, you get nothing. And worst of all, they've bought time for someone else on their team to get ahead. So more often than not, you end up losing everything in this trade. And as I said, it seems small. A lot of times you will not get punished like this or as hard, but it can be very bad, particularly versus speedster characters. They usually torment the attackers that you're playing in the jungle, or, you know, if you're playing in the lane, let's go for that example. It's the same thing. You get killed by the jungler, you come back to lane, and now you've lost this farm because this is usually the first one that's taken, or this one in this case, and then you've lost one of your minions, maybe even two. You know, maybe you lost two. And now at this point, to push up, if they just are waiting here, if the jungler's waiting, you usually don't have spells to escape. You won't have a eject button. We'll just grab that. You won't have X speed to escape. So when they come up again, you're guaranteed dead again. And now you see sort of the problem that can happen from dying. Dying creates bad habits. You have to then overextend to get farm, or you have to do something extra to get the base levels that you need. And then for doing that, you can get horribly punished. And if you don't decide to do anything, you have to sit here like a very sad Delphox watching Chandelure, you know, play the greatest game of all time, and you can't do anything. So pretty much explain dying in like that simple cause. So why is it like, why do I think, okay, there is some times where it's okay to die, and I'll explain. So if you have a Unite move and it's 95% charge, I don't know, I would say actually even lower, like it's 80% charge and it's 230, right? Yeah, okay, you can probably die and you'll get it back and you'll come back alive in time. You have to understand, sometimes you have to give in exchange for being able to get something else. Like you have to give something to get something. I like to think about it, you know, like if you're going to lose a hand, you may as well get another hand. Or if you're not going to lose a hand and not grow out your other hand, well then we're at a net zero anyway. You just have to find the value in what you're doing. So if you're dying as a tank with Focus Band and a passive, like for example, Trevenant is a really good example here. So Trevenant has its passive where it heals you and restores in every 50 seconds, I think. And the same thing with Focus Band. And if you're going to die to get your Unite move back on Trevenant, well, as you can see, you're actually losing more than just, you know, your life. You're losing this Focus Band, whole item's passive, and you're losing your own Pokemon's passive. So when you come back to this raid fight, you're significantly weaker. If they chunk you out, you're going to die. So you have to understand that, you know, there's giving things and then there's giving things. You can't just give them everything for a death. And then you got to think of other examples like, okay, if I have a free kill streak, that's going to give a lot of experience. It maxes out, it's at 1.5 times XP for a takedown on a free kill streak player. So think about that. You know, like are you on a free kill streak? Have you been doing well in the game? Like how many levels ahead are you? Depending on your level ahead, they get another XP bonus. We're up to, I think it's 101.5 as well. It's depending on how many levels up to, I think it's if you're 3 levels over, there's no extra difference. But just think about that example. You can lose a lot very quickly if you die stupidly. And now we're going to go on, I guess, talk about, so yeah, there's worth it deaths. Usually it happens in the form of supports and tanks. You usually can have a worth it death moment, like where you just go and you score, you die, you get your XP, you get, the ultimate back, and yeah, okay, you're ready for business and you didn't lose any passives. Great, that's a good death, not bad. Or, you know, when you're sort of like you need to reset that death timer before a big Ray fight, but there's nothing going on for the next 40 seconds, which is very rare. And then, you know, okay, I can just run into them. Maybe I try to pop passives. Maybe I try to burn time. And then, of course, there's deaths that are inevitable, needed to win the game, which is like fighting and team fight deaths. Like, okay, well, micro diff, whatever, you got killed. Well, you can't avoid that. There's another death where, you know, I have to go and stall in for the team. That's a mistake that the team has made, and now you have to go and waste your life in exchange for keeping the game alive. That's just the game-winning like play. You have to do it to win. That's a given. You know, if you stay alive, you're not going to win the game. Whereas, like, if you go and suicide to the enemies, and maybe they can like spend like a few seconds trying to kill you, and you can save your team the game. So those are things that you can't really avoid. But we're talking about now deaths that you can avoid, like, you know, damage farming in their jungle at like 220. So you're 220 here, and they have the capability to kill you. Particularly characters like Slowbro, particularly characters like Mimikyu, the players with lots of CC and like not actually having your abilities up. These are all things that you have to think, oh, what am I doing? Like, you know, I'm a deer in headlights. You need to move out of the road, away from the car. Otherwise, you are going to get splattered right on the road. And trust me, it is not a good feeling when you die and you know that you cost the team the game. Dying is bad. Please drill into your heads. Let's go over some common dying mistakes, I guess. Common dying mistakes. I would have never imagined this. I think we see a lot in the lanes. Run up to the lane, go take our farm, die. Right? You died because whatever reason. You just, whether you walked into spells or took a bad fight. Anyway, you come back to base, you run up into the lane, and you do the exact same thing. You don't think or see an impact in the game, because in this game, it's not like you're playing League of Legends or Dota and they're getting an item, you know, and they're a level ahead of you and they're hammering you. In this game, you sort of sit on the pad and you don't understand how far ahead the opponent is. But I'll tell you that in tournament games, like 2 deaths like this, even like the decent players, in top lane, I've caused 2 deaths to the opposition, and it's like level 14 versus level 10 at the end of the game. It's ridiculous. You have to stop doing this. It is terrible. If you are going to die once, if you die because you made that mistake, you have to understand, okay, I made a mistake. What do I need to do to recoup myself? And if you're just going to sprint into them, you need to have a strategy. Okay, am I going to get a stack and score? How much XP is that going to give me versus how much XP could I get when I'm alive? I could AFK soak these bees. I could go run down to the middle and get this. Maybe I could even try jungle invade. That's at least I'm dying for something. What I'm trying to say here is don't die for nothing. A lot of players are dying for literally nothing. If you hit the enemy character and get them low health, that is a death for nothing. Unless someone actually takes them down, you are dying for 0. Nothing. Don't do it. Please. It's my biggest pet peeve. Like, don't die for nothing. And like, I know my kill streaks are going to go down for this, but that's okay because I believe in, you know, empowering the audience. You know, you guys should feel like you have more control of your games. And this is a big thing that I see a lot of games. People dying for absolutely nothing. They're face checking bushes. Now, to explain that, I guess simply, it's just to come into this bush without knowing anything about it. I wouldn't have had any knowledge, whatever. Instead of using an ability, instead of waiting for a friend, especially squishy characters, you know, supports, attackers, generally like some junglers. And yeah, you just instantly die. Like, why? Why? You don't need to do that. It's okay. You can relax. You can chill. Take your time. Now, as I said, it's okay to die for some things. Yes, you're losing. The game is doomed in this lane. Let's just say you died twice. Go into here, make impact, right? If they kill you in the jungle, it's at least better than getting nothing in top lane, And because you're already going to get nothing, you already caused yourself a problem. So you need to make them a problem so you can somehow wiggle your way out. And sometimes, you know, they'll be lucky and they won't take all your farm all the time, and they won't punish you immensely for walking off the lane, and they won't prepare traps for you. But when they do that, you'll realize how terrible of a situation you're in. Dying is bad. Don't die. I think the reason that we do end up dying, and I guess this is the final part of the video, that the reason we do end up dying is largely because there is no death count in the game. So when players believe they're limit testing and playing aggressively, they're running up here, dying. And the game itself, it feels like they haven't been dying as much. It's only 10 minutes long. The impact in the levels are given. You're granted level 10 for doing nothing in the game. Like, you're going to get level 10 if you just stand the base and maybe you hit a few creatures. If you don't hit anything, you're granted level 9. Like, you can literally get halfway through the levels for doing nothing all game, just the passive experience they give you in the map. So I want you to think about that. Like, if you end the game level 10 or 11, you didn't really you didn't really do much. And that's something to think about. Like, you need to think, oh wow, okay, especially if you're playing carry roles and you're level 12, like at the end of the game. That game did not go well. You need to understand what happened, and you probably did die 6+ times. That's the only way I can see it happening, right? So you can imagine, you should visualize the KD ratio. I think we did it in the Overlord video where we looked at his gameplay review. He had a 29 kill assist ratio to 1 death. 29 kill participation to 1 death. And that's in a winning game where he stomps the opposition and does 100,000 damage. That's great. That's like wonderful. But I want you all to think like that. If you go and add a 10 to this, it makes it look a lot worse. So I want you all to play a little bit safer. You know, think about the consequences of walking up into enemies. Think about why dying is actually bad and what you're going to lose in exchange for your death. I think a lot of players are thinking, hey, look, like, what can I win? And that's a good thought to have. And yes, it is good, but you have to also be aware of the consequences. If you just run in and all get wiped, well, then what did we actually lose? Are we going to lose farm? Are we going to lose towers? Are we going to lose experience around the map? Are we going to lose an objective? All these things matter. And the moment you start like sort of bringing them all together, that's when you're going to realize, oh, like maybe dying here isn't worth it, but then also dying here is. When you find that right balance, then you'll notice yourself as a player really begin to bloom. I hope you enjoyed the video and a short little understanding on why dying is bad. It's very obvious. And, you know, as I said, as always, leave a like, comment down below what you think. What's a worth it death for you? Or if you want my opinion on a worth it death that you've had in the past. And of course, leave a sub as always if you are not already. I will see you all in the next video. Cheers and have a wonderful Christmas.